Cheers. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first video of 2023. Can you believe it? Last year went super fast and this year's already speeding through because we're already on January the 24th. I do apologise that there was no videos from the last video I posted till now, but life has just been a bit hectic, let's just leave it as that. You also might have noticed my lighting setup has changed slightly. That's because I'm using my new ring light tripod stand thing that my dad very kindly bought me for Christmas, and that's why it might be shaking a little bit because it's currently sitting on the box bouncing on my bed. So that's the setup for today, so I do apologise. Also, I did want to film this video with the curtains open, but it really was not working with the lighting, so we're gonna have to make do for that for today. But yes, so for the first video of 2023, I thought it would be a great idea because I've been seeing them all over YouTube and watching them, and that is books I read in 2022. So I'm just going to explain before I carry on with the books. I started reading again, I want to say near the beginning of the year in 2022, and had a reading slump, and then got back into reading, then had another reading slump, and then it wasn't closer to the end of the year that my reading sort of came more and more out of that slump, if you know what I mean. So there's not going to be a lot of books here, just gonna get that out of the way. I think I've actually just got 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I've only got 10 that I read in 2022. Also, I want to say for the first 4, I didn't document them on anything like Goodreads or written down in a notebook or anything, just read them, and then yeah, but I thought I'd include them even though they weren't documented per se. So the very first book I read at the beginning of the year was When We Collided by Emery Lord. This was sitting on my bookshelf for a while and I thought, why not read it? The cover always drawn me in. But yes, I did enjoy it. The ending was a little bit anticlimactic for me, but all in all I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the characters of Jonah and what's her name? Phoebe. I was gonna call her Verona then, but it's not. That's the place it's set. Phoebe, and I just enjoyed their story, even though there's some little bits of twists and turns, but it was still a good story. And now looking back at it, I understand why the ending happened as it did. I'm not gonna spoil it, but yes, good book. If I was to rate it now, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5. Yeah, I think that's fair. The next book that I read in 2022 was another Emery Lord book, and that was The Names That They Gave Us. Not gonna lie, I think I enjoyed this one better than When We Collided. I enjoyed how it was sort of in a summer camp, and in a way in my head I was like, oh, it's like Camp Rock, but it's not really like Camp Rock. You know, the one when they have the rivalry with the other camp. But yeah, I enjoyed the like complete opposites of them, and like the characters and how the opposites sort of attract sort of element. But yes, I did at some points it was quite an emotional book just because of the topics in it. Without spoiling, there's like a lot of there's illness with one parent and everything, but all in all I really enjoyed this book. If I was to rate it now, I would probably rate it a 4 out of 5. So the fourth book that I read in 2022 was Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Hingwen. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I do apologise if I've butchered any names that are coming up in this, but it follows Eva Wong, and she is sent on to a educational summer program by her parents to visit Taiwan, which is where her family is from, and she wants to be a dancer but her parents don't want her to be. So I think from reading back, I think it's either a doctor or any of the like prestigious career paths. But yes, I enjoyed this one. At some points it did have like a slow pace, but again I feel like that came in with setting up the whole story and the characters and what this whole book and the program that she attends is all about. If I was to rate this now, I'd probably have to give it a 3, just because there was some parts where I was like, this is very like slow read, and it did at some parts it did make me want to DNF it, but I carried on and I'm happy I did. I also recently bought the second book in this. Is it like Love Boat Reunion or something? But yes, I'm looking forward to getting into that. So the fourth book that I read in 2022 was You and Me at the End of the World. This book, it was very, I don't want to say frustrating, because it was not frustrating. It's just when you have two characters and they have feelings for each other and they take so long to confess their feelings for each other, like you could feel the tension when reading it. Like well, that was for me, I could feel the tension. But yes, it follows Hannah and Leo, and then they're suddenly the only people in this world, and they meet at this, Hannah's at the bookshop I believe, and then Leo's at the music shop, and then they are adventuring why everyone is no longer around and it's just them two. When I got to, it's very twisty, and when I got to that twist bit I was like, wow. I was like, I hope everything they've gone through is like, it's gonna keep coming, but you know. But yes, I did enjoy this book, and if I was to rate it now, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Now the next section of books, this is when I set up my Goodreads, and so I actually have documentation and a rating for all these books that I read further on in the year. So the 5th book that I read in 2022 was Call It What You Want by Brigitte Camara. Hope I pronounced that correctly. I really enjoyed this one. This one, I wasn't expected. I finished it in a day, I think. Yeah, I started it the evening of, I think it was one night in October, and I finished it the next day. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it that much. But it's basically about Rob and Megan. They go to the same school and then they end up being partners, I believe, or they end up being, yeah, they're put together for a project. So they both have things happening in their lives. So Rob's dad committed a crime. He embezzled money from the town that they live in, and then Rob's popularity plummets. And then Megan, she I don't know if it says in the blurb, but she did something and that made people react negatively to her, and then her sister comes home from college pregnant, so that adds more strain in her household. They come together and then they form a very complicated relationships at times, just because there's, from what is happening with both parties, it's just a bit like, will this survive? But yes, I enjoyed this book very much, and as I said, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, so I recommend. The next book that I read in 2023 was a faux love story by Loanne Lay. Again, I do apologise if I butcher any of the names. I do apologise. It follows Lynn and Bao. They are the children of rivalry faux restaurants. That's it. And it's sort of like a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, just with how the rivalries happen. Yeah, so Bao doesn't really know what he wants to do with life yet, and Lynn, she wants to be an artist. And then they sort of come together at school and they form a relationship, and it's sort of secret from the families, and it's how they sort of try and keep the secret, and how their families are rivalries and how that rivalry began, and yeah, they're just trying to get to the mystery of it all, really. But yes, I rated this one a 4 out of 5. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it at the end. I did get a bit emotional as well at some points. I don't know why, I just got a bit teary. But I really enjoyed this one. The next book that I read in 2023, it is a very popular one, and who made me buy it? Alexa Ray. I watched her video about it, and then I'm very lucky.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
And that is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. So my local The Works, they had it in store and I came out with it. Even though I told myself I'm not buying any more books, but I can't help myself. Any bookstore I go in, I come out with at least one. At least one. But yes, oh my god, I loved this book so much. Oh, Olive, Adam's relationship. Oh, can't say more, but I really enjoyed this one. I'm just speechless. It's like I rode along with the hype, and yes, I just enjoyed this one. It really did annoy me that Dr. Tom, that character, he was nasty. But yes, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. Then the next book that I read was Beach Read by Emily Henry. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it, yes. I really liked the dynamic between January and Gus, or Augustus, and how their story of being in college together and sort of the whole enemies to lovers thing. I really fell in love with Gus's aunt, who owns the coffee shop and the bookshop. She just cracked me up so many times. Oh, my voice, sorry. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and the images I got when reading, especially about the whole town and like the environment, what just made me want to go to the beach and just sit at the beach in one of those beach huts and just read and possibly write a book, even though I'm not smart enough to write a book. But yes, really enjoyed this one, and as I said, 4 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I read in 2022, just want to put a little do not come for me, because it was not one of my favourites, and it was a very hyped up and it's a very popular book with some people, but it just wasn't my favourite. And that is Daisy Jones and the Six. Please do not come for me. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars because there were parts where I did enjoy it, and there were some parts that I wasn't a big fan of, like especially some of the characters and sometimes of their character arcs that I wasn't a big fan of. But again, I didn't hate it. It just wasn't one of my favourites, let me just say that. I did enjoy parts, as I said, but it just wasn't one of my favourites. So yes, do not come for me, please. So the final book that I finished in 2022 from start to finish was Ali Hazelwood's Love on the Brain. I gave this one a 4 out of 5. So yeah, out of the two Ali Hazelwoods, so Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain, I think I preferred Love Hypothesis more than Love on the Brain. So yeah, they've got a very similar relationship setup in the two books, but in this one it's between Levi and Bee. So Bee is a scientist. She's obsessed with Marie Curie. She starts a Twitter called What Would Marie Curie Do? And then you have Levi, who is on this same project, and they have to work together. They have some bumps along the way, but they sort of get over them bumps, and yeah, they form a relationship. Yes, I did enjoy this one. And that is the books that I read in 2022. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you for the next video, which will be the January reading wrap up. I hope you guys have a lovely day wherever you are, and I will see you next time. Bye.